Everyone, and we're back with Prehistoric Planet 2, Episode 3, Swamps. So, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and has become one of my personal favourites for a few reasons, but we'll get into those in a bit. So, the episode begins in a swamp forest in Northeast Asia, where we can see many tall trees and islands surrounded with water. Here we are introduced to a newly hatched Azdarchid, a species that is not directly introduced, but Sir David says that it will grow to have a wingspan of 30 feet, which could potentially be referring to the Mongolian giant, a currently unnamed species that was featured in the deserts episode of Season 1. But I don't know at this point, if I'm going to be honest. So this one is currently learning to walk, and also extending their fourth finger to enable the wings to lock into place and enable them to fly. So it tests its flight capabilities, but ends in a face-first landing. Not a good start, but a start nonetheless. So the island that it's currently on does not have any food. So the food that the pterosaur would need is elsewhere. So it needs to learn to fly to be able to find that extra food that this young baby will need. So it joins its nestmates on the bank, and they begin to test their flight. But their strength is not quite there, and one unfortunately lands in the water, and the water is not a safe place to be falling into. And they are crocodilians, the predators that we have been wanting for a while. So the crocodilians are a new group to the show, and this particular species is called Shamasuchus, a species discovered in Mongolia, which could complement my thoughts on the pterosaurs being young Mongolian giants, as being in the local vicinity, that would be handy. So this is also the crocodile that is spotted in the prior trailers, if you saw those. Yeah, and several Azdarchid babies died, but yeah, that is to be expected at this stage. The babies do not have any mercy placed upon them. So there are a few strong flyers in the batch, and managed to make it high enough to avoid the the Shamasuchus below. So one Shamasuchus emerges from the water and chases after a pterosaur on the banks, but fails to catch it in time, and the young Azdarchid manages to fly away and makes for a larger island where food will be prominent. But lacking a little bit of strength to get there, it falls after a near escape from the jaws of the crocodiles. And yeah, the Shamasuchus follows onto land, and this is one of the best looks that we get of the Shamasuchus. It has a very wide head, very much like an alligator sort of looking crocodilian. But yeah, it does not succeed and hits a log, allowing the young Azdarchid to escape, and has made it onto the islands successfully, and there's plentiful food about, such as this little lizard to get it started. So we then hop over to South America, where we are introduced to a garfish, a family of rayfin fish that has been on the planet for over 240 million years, and the family is still alive today with current examples such as the alligator gar, one of the largest freshwater fish in North America. But this 3-foot gar is prey for even bigger predators. A specialized fish eater called Ostroraptor, a large dromaeosaur around a similar size to the much earlier Utah raptor. It was discovered around the Allen Formation of Argentina. And yeah, Ostroraptor is a species that I've wanted to see in a documentary for a while, as they are very cool among the dromaeosaurs. So right now, the fish are very common, as the summer enables the Ostroraptors to congregate. in far larger numbers than their normal solitary lifestyles. So there is also fierce competition, but that is to be expected, and this is for the best fishing spots. So there are often fierce confrontations as this female turns to face the approaching male and manages to defend her fishing spot. But the segment primarily focuses on this young male Ostroraptor who is not yet big enough to compete with the adults, still exhibiting his juvenile plumage, and yeah, competition for the best fishing spots is a lot harder for him given his smaller size. But yeah, when there are so many large owls around, it is not very easy for a smaller individual. So, being dromaeosaurs, Ostroraptors exhibit a large toe claw on each foot, but given Ostroraptors' primarily waterbound nature, it may have potentially had webbed feet too, much like earlier fish hunters such as the Spinosaurids. The youngster has to instead pick up scraps and tread very dangerous waters, if you'll pardon the pun. So this larger male notices his intentions with a Dwayne Johnson style look and fights him away from his spot, leaving the youngster with a few bruises and scrapes. So the youngster has to think of a new course of action to get a meal. So he waits until two adults fight, and they hope that one of them has left a fish. So these ones in particular have left a fish, and he moves in to collect his prize, only narrowly escaping the adult that returns. So he gets a well-deserved meal for this cunning hunter. Yeah, using those smarts. So we move on to the north of Madagascar, where the rains are returning, breaking the drought that has been strangling the area, returning water to the parched land. And dinosaurs like the familiar Pachycephalosaurus return in abundance. So taking advantage of the now present water. It was absent before, but now it is here, allowing the ecosystem to recover. But the Pachycephalosaurus should be more careful about where it drinks, as these pools do not go uninhabited with a large frog. So Beelzebufo makes its return from season 1. It was a large frog with name meaning the devil toad from Madagascar. First discovered in 1993, but not named until 2008. Yeah, it also is very loud. Like, it has a very deep, booming call, as you could hear in the episode. But, yeah, I think it's become one of my new favorites. Beelzebufo is just a very interesting species. So this male in particular is searching for a pond where he can begin attracting females. And this is something that many large male frogs and toads do in real life. So they'll make a loud croaking sound and reverberate the surface of the water. And yeah, this sound does not get quite the right response as a large herd of titanosaurs called Repetosaurus approach. So yeah, this scares the poor male Beelzebufo who's just trying to find friends away from his pond. So the Repetosaurus have a very different intention and decide to take a long-needed mud bath, it seems. And this is behaviour that most large animals in the modern day, such as elephants or rhinoceros, display in the heat of the day. But they provide an obstacle for the Beelzebufo to get to another pond on the other side. And so after a tumbling start, he begins to make his way past several tons of sauropod. And yeah, he manages to avoid getting squashed by the bathing sauropods, lucky him, and gets to the other ponds safely. But is spotted by a curious Repetosaur that gets far too close. He croaks and spooks the poor animal. Yeah, don't invade his space. And yeah, he is not very happy by this Repetosaurus. Like, you've prevented me from getting my friends. Stop interrupting my life. That's what he's been like. But the Repetosaurus begin to move off, not just because of the scary little frog, but they are in need of water and food after their relaxing mud bath. So they do not leave the area untouched. So their large footprints that are left behind fill with water and provide several more pools for female Beelzebufos to visit the male's pond. Heading over to North America and a swampland that has experienced a decade-long drought. And yeah, this is a very parched area. In one of the other shots, we see a skeleton of perhaps a fish. But yeah, this barren land does not go completely uninhabited. As a herd of Pachycephalosaurus, a new species of the show, makes its appearance. And it is another member of the same family as the Prehistoric from last episode, but far more famous. As you can probably tell by the name, for those who have watched Jurassic Park: The Lost World, you would know this animal. So this herd is picking off the remaining vegetation and other food that has been left behind by the drought. And the colourful alpha male uses his head to disturb a tree. Another little pun there. So, consuming the beetles that lived inside. So Pachycephalosaurus is often thought to have been an omnivore, taking advantage of any food during hard times. And many games have introduced this feature of Pachycephalosaurus eating more than just plants. So this alpha male makes sure his herd is safe and secure, allowing all the females around him to feed in relative peace. But this young male is pushing his weight around and stirring up some trouble. So the alpha male has to do something about it and deal with this pestilence to the peace. Is pestilence even a word? This menace. That's a better word. So he approaches the younger male and uses his head to he swings it around to display his formidable weaponry, but this young fiery male does not back down. And with the herd watching, the two begin a battle. And yeah, it's a very intense battle, as Pachycephalosaurus' thick domed heads manage to land quite fatal blows to each other. Fatal? No, serious blows. Fatal, I mean, it gets close. So the alpha male then chases the younger male and they both fall into a ditch. But yeah, the young male, using his lighter weight and agility, manages to outmaneuver the heavy male and pin him to the floor. He celebrates his victory, but a bit too soon, as the alpha male catches him off guard, knocking him down. So the young male is now injured and is also exiled from the herd. Now moving over to a wetland around the Hell Creek Formation, a famous site in North America where herds of herbivores are beginning to gather. So there are various species such as the returning Triceratops and the Edmontosaurus annectens. And by the way, this is one of my favourite shots in the whole show now. This is very Walking of Dinosaurs and just a beautiful display of the ecosystem. So you got the herd of Edmontosaurus walking through in the middle, Triceratops off to the side, and a couple of birds flying around as well, and just bright green vegetation. Just a very cool looking setting. So the young Triceratops also makes a return, but where there are herds of large herbivores, there are also large predators, and the inevitable return of Tyrannosaurus Rex. So this pair is quite hungry, but in broad daylight they are easily seen, and with so many watching eyes and weapons at the ready, the day may not be the best time for a hunt. And so they wait until night, where the Tyrannosaurus will be less conspicuous. And using their adept night vision, the two Rexes begin stalking through the forest, using their padded feet, which, much like elephants, absorb the force of their weight and allow them to walk in near silence. So, as they wander through the forest, they come upon a herd of Edmontosaurus that have retreated into the thicker forest from the plains as a method of safety, but given that Edmontosaurus and T-Rex are of similar size, yeah, the T-Rex followed them in. So the two Rexes then begin a tactical plan to get their meal. So they encircle their prey, moving around the sides of the Edmontosaurus, and are beginning to box them in. So one Rex uses a sound to distract the herd and make them alert and unaware of the second Rex, which has gone much closer to their target, and then springs for the Edmontosaurus, and yeah, they're near even in size. So Edmontosaurus was a formidable opponent for T-Rex to tackle, but the Rex manages to land a bite on the prey's neck, keeping it in place so that the second Rex can come in and help finish the job. So the Rexes knock the Edmontosaurus down and pin it to the floor, delivering a fatal blow to the neck. And yeah, it was just that was one of the biggest bites I've ever seen a T-Rex deliver in any form of dinosaur media. It's like the bite of 87, isn't it? Yeah, so utilizing the cover of darkness and their intelligence, the Tyrannosaurs managed to succeed in bringing down the Edmontosaurus. And as the rest of the herd leaves, the T-Rex managed to enjoy their meal in relative peace as the top predators of North America and the most powerful predator on land. And that's where the episode ends, but before it actually ends, Prehistoric Planet Uncovered goes into the science of determining Pachycephalosaurus' headbutting capabilities. So with the assistance of Dr. Susanna Maidman and Professor Paul Barrett, they go into depth about the skulls of the Pachycephalosaurus and identify that Pachycephalosaurus was originally thought to have not had a very robust skull, relatively quite soft. But later studies found pigments in their skulls, which led to the conclusion that their domed heads would actually have exhibited some bright colours, so enabling them to use them for display rather than also for combat. As future studies after that, why did I stop? So future studies then found that different Pachycephalosaurus skulls had indeed been involved in headbutting, as there were several indentations in different scalps and in different parts of the skull, but around the top. So yeah, they would have used their powerful heads to compete with others of their own species and against predators. So yeah, I mean, we all know that Pachycephalosaurus would have used its head, but they needed to confirm that. So yeah, that was Swamps. So what did you think of it? Likes, dislikes, mixed opinions? I thoroughly enjoyed the episode personally, particularly the inclusions of the new species such as Shamasuchus, Pachycephalosaurus, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex actually hunting a dinosaur on screen this season. So those were the highs for me of this episode, but like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.